Okay, the stream has started. And we're recording.
Okay. Well, we can't call them in doors, so
We can all meetings order, we just can't.
we can't approve it.
we can't put them in.
Okay, Lynn, you're probably acting, yeah?
Okay, well, let's have a, let's call a meeting to order and, have a report. Ben?
Ben's here.
Dale? Lynn's here,
I'll write that down. I'm just gonna open without the packet.
and let's move to the training.
We need to note that we don't have a quorum.
Yeah, I think it would be noted.
Yeah. We don't have,
So OPMA training is pretty self-explanatory, you have both have done it before. It's just the state code for open and public meetings, situations like this where we don't have a quorum, no decisions can be made. Luckily, you don't need to vote on this item. So it'll just be an 8-minute video, and then you'll have an affidavit there, the second page of your packet saying you did in fact do the training. Planning and zoning commission members who are not here can log in to the state auditor's website and complete the training on their own, so do that for them. I wanted to take just a second to address the other documents that you have in your packet there. I believe there's 4 different handouts that we've provided you, from the Utah Land Use Institute. Between Drew and myself, we've read all of them and we've either watched or attended, all of the accompanying, conferences / videos. And we just thought that those sections in particular were really, really helpful and relevant. And they also deal with 2023 legislative updates. So don't feel pressured to, read through all of those right now or in any quick order. We will be putting together just 10-minute trainings that we can sort of tack on to the end of our meetings that will be going over the content of those packets. But if you're a nerd about land use stuff, there's also a QR code on the front of each packet. You can scan it and it will take you to the accompanying lecture for those. And I watched all but one of the lectures and I actually thought they were really interesting and entertaining. So if you feel like checking that out in your own time before we get to the training, please do.
So what is the Open Meetings Act? It's the state law that ensures government actions and deliberations are conducted. Before we continue, keep in mind that this video is an overview, and exceptions may exist based on your entity type. We focus on local government, not state requirements. When in doubt, read the law, consult with your legal counsel. So what's considered an open and public meeting? It's when a public body quorum, also known as a simple majority, meets to discuss or act upon government business. It includes the meetings sometimes referred to as workshops or executive sessions. Regular meetings, public hearings, electronic meetings, and emergency meetings are all open public meetings. Open and public meetings don't include chants or social meetings. A public hearing is a type of open and public meeting where citizens have a reasonable opportunity to speak. Public hearings happen when a government adopts a budget, imposes or increases taxes or fees, or transfers money from an enterprise fund. These meetings have extra notice and posting requirements and won't be addressed in this video. An electronic meeting is a type of open and public meeting that's convened electronically, such as via phone or the internet. Remember, the governing body must adopt a resolution, rule, or ordinance allowing and governing electronic meetings. OPMA adds additional requirements too. An emergency meeting may be held to discuss an urgent matter due to unforeseen circumstances. In order to hold a meeting, the best notice that's feasible is provided of the time, location, and topics to be considered. An attempt is made to contact all governing body members, and the governing body majority approves the meeting. An open and public meeting may be closed to discuss any of the following: a person's character, competence, or talent, collective bargaining, litigation, certain real property transactions, including any form of a water right or water shares with specific restrictions, security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, investigations of criminal misconduct, and private or protected information for the Utah Procurement Code, including trade secrets. A closed meeting may be held only if a quorum is present and the meeting was properly noticed. 2/3 of the governing body present at the meeting need to vote yes to close the meeting. Quick math lesson. 2 divided by 3 equals 66.7%. Let's say your governing body has 5 members present at the meeting. If 3 out of 5 members vote yes, that equals 60%, which is not equal or greater than 66.7%, which means we're 1 member short and would need 4 out of 5 members to vote yes. During this closed meeting, a governing body can't interview someone applying to fill an elected position, discuss filling a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, discuss the character, competence, or health of the person whose name was submitted for consideration to fill a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, approve any ordinance, resolution, rule, regulation, contract, or appointment, or take a vote, unless it's a vote on a motion to end the closed portion of the meeting and return to an open meeting. When a governing body closes a meeting, the following must be publicly announced and entered into the minutes of the open meeting in which the closed meeting was approved. The reason or reasons for holding the closed meeting, the location where the closed meeting will be held, and the vote of each member of the governing body either for or against the motion to close the meeting. If a closed meeting is discussing a person's character, competence, or health, or security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, or several other exceptions, mostly related to state bodies or project entities, no recording or minutes are required. However, the presiding member needs to sign a sworn written statement stating such. If the closed meeting is held for any other reason, a recording must be made, which includes date, time, and place of the meeting, names of members present and absent, and names of all others, except where disclosure would infringe on the confidentiality necessary to fulfill the original purpose of closing the meeting. Regular open and public meetings require 24 hours notice. The public notice includes the meeting, agenda, date, time, and place. Public meeting agendas need to include reasonably specified topics to be considered, with each topic listed under a separate agenda item on the meeting agenda. The governing body may not consider a topic in an open meeting that wasn't on the agenda. If a new topic not on the agenda is raised by the public during the meeting, the governing body may discuss the topic. However, final action may not be taken on the new topic during that meeting. Additionally, entities holding regular meetings scheduled in advance over the course of the year need to provide annual notice of the entire year's meeting schedule. The notice must include date, time, and place for each meeting. Notice is posted at the entity's principal office, or if the entity doesn't have a main office, at the building where the meeting will be held, and the Utah Public Notice website. Typically, posting on the public notice website is done by the records officer, recorder, or clerk. However, it's the governing body's responsibility to ensure notice is provided. State Archives has prepared a training manual with guide for owners and posters, as well as training videos that can be accessed at their website, archives.utah.gov. Written minutes and a recording are kept of all open meetings, with few exceptions. Written minutes include the date, time, and place of the meeting, the names of members present and absent, the substance of all matters, names of citizens providing comments, the substance of the comments provided, any information a body member requests be entered into the minutes or recording, and a record by individual member of each vote taken. A body with elected members must record each vote in list format by category for each action taken by a member, including yes votes, no votes, and absent members next to each member's name. A recording must be a complete and unedited record of all open portions of the meeting from beginning to end, and be labeled with the meeting date, time, and place. All or any part of an open meeting may be independently recorded by any person in attendance if the recording does not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Pending minutes means written minutes of an open meeting, draft, subject to change before being approved by the public body that concluded the meeting. Pending minutes must contain a clear indication, such as a draft and watermark, that the governing body hasn't yet approved the minutes, and that the minutes are subject to change until the public body approves them. Approved minutes means written minutes of an open meeting approved by the public body that held the open meeting. Entities must establish and implement procedures for the public body's approval of written minutes. Public meeting pending minutes, approved minutes, and recordings, public records under grant. Any individual publicly presents information relating to an item of the body's meeting agenda must provide a copy of the information for inclusion on the record. Make pending minutes available to the public within 30 days. Within 3 business days after approving written minutes of an open meeting, make approved minutes and any public materials available at the Utah Public Notice website, the entity's primary office, and the entity's website. Within 3 business days after holding an open meeting, make an audio recording of the open meeting available to the public for listening. This is way harder than saying.
Oh, now we have, how many years old?
We have a quorum. Sorry it was late. Didn't pop on my calendar. Okay,
Yes, you
we
could
can go back to the minutes now.
take that, you can sign it when we have.
Approve the minutes.
All right. So you've had a chance to review the minutes of the prior meeting. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve those or?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Tommy, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dale, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Looking for the agenda. I have the agenda. Oh. Okay. Minutes. We want to wait for our nominate and appoint a new chair.
Do we have a full quorum?
I think, I mean, you could do it now if you don't like it, but I don't think there's any reason why it would have to be done at this meeting. If you'd like to wait and have a full forum.
Since we were missing 3, I wouldn't mind waiting. So let's move to the next item. We've had the next item. So now the zoning of the proposed lake annexation. So that's up there. And you all know where that is, if y'all driven down by it. They're way out on State Street, just before it rises up the hill there.
What's the address? That's a good question. South State Street, probably 3000 south.
Right where it turns into Cobble Hall.
Yeah.
This is 2750 State. So it's up here on the screen. So these two parcels,
Right there, see it? Yeah, he's got them on the screen right there.
we brought this to planning and zoning for the annexation petition.
Right.
And we're wanting to assign it a zone to take it through city council with the approval of this next city council with the R1 zone request, 1 acre minimum, and he will own 1.39 per parcel. So both lots will be zoned in RR1. They're over the acre threshold for the RR1. The only consideration would give, I guess, is when we do improve the area, curb, sidewalk, gutter, we did make the stipulation that we would make electric, that as improvements take place on this lot here for their substation, that they would be responsible to help with that cost. Jake Woodland owns these 2 lots here. Likewise, as that improves out, I don't believe we did anything with him as far as an agreement, but we probably should have thinking back. That would be the only consideration I would give to the commission to think about what we do as that builds out.
Yeah, the curb and gutter is quite a ways away.
It's a long ways away, so maybe we just kick that can down the road and the city worry about it at that time, or we want it.
I think that's what we do, that person.
So what codes are there in place for that? There's gotta be something.
Well, as far as code, it's mandatory that you have curb, gutter, sidewalk within reason. So we don't, like Lynn said, there is no place for it. We don't have infrastructure out in this area. If it was closer, we would make them, as the developer or property owner, put that in themselves. But where it's not.
But you're, I guess to me, why annex it when you've got, you know, a mile in between the city and, well, I mean, you gotta cross the street to the city.
Right.
But, and you've got how many years before that's even gonna develop?
Why annex it?
Yeah, why,
Yeah, we're trying to promote the growth of Roosevelt City.
well, I get that, but it, I mean, it's clear out. Yeah. I mean,
Cost benefit analysis doesn't make sense to me either.
To annex in.
Yeah, I just don't understand why you would annex it.
Well, you know, I don't know, I have a little different view. I mean, I annexed the property in 1980, and it had, I mean, it didn't have any city streets there, sewer. You know, but just wanted to be in the city and bordered it on the spot. But I don't know, I just, and this is gonna be the city manager, and he's gonna be building there. Guess he's gonna be building there,
Yes.
and then I like to have him in the city if he's gonna be building there, be a city resident.
It's in his contract that he has to be in the city.
Is that part of the contract?
That is part of the agreement, but I think as far
I
as,
thought the agreement was just a certain
It's
distance
not-
from the city, it's not
yeah.
actually.
it wasn't to be in city limits, it's within a certain amount, but like Lynn said, he felt the need to annex the same, but I guess more concerning is if somebody wanted to annex into the city and they're touching Roosevelt city boundaries, for example, the subdivision that we just approved with 60 some odd acres, they're gonna be putting their own infrastructure in their own sewer. That benefit would be rooftops, right? So eventually we will have sewer up this way. Eventually we want to promote our growth that direction. We only have so many directions we can go.
Yeah.
This is one of the key areas for our future growth. So the reason we want to annex this area is because that's where our rooftops for Roosevelt City are going to go.
So who pays for the sewer?
Well, the sewer's not going in right now.
Well, at some point, the sewer is gonna go in. Who pays for that?
Well, it could possibly be the developer, it could be like we did with Stonegate, potentially, it could be a,
Stonegate's not a good example. Let's not use that one.
so it could be, because we're charging them more, we're doing it basically a bond, if you will.
Correct. They have to pay for the mistake of the developer.
But the problem is here that the city needs to get a plan for the sewer and know that they can get it drained, so that these folks, so this property could basically be on the sewer. Right now, I mean, even if he wanted to develop it, there isn't sewer close enough. I mean, it'd be he's gotta be on septic for the short term.
And by law, if they meet the standards, and put the petition in, we really can't stop them from their request.
Of annexation.
Of annexing. So I got something off topic, because I mean, we're here as far as zoning, and I'm fine with the zoning, but I do feel, and I know this isn't a meeting of feelings, but like when that road does get developed, who's gonna pay, or are we gonna require him to connect to the sewer line when sewer goes in?
When sewer is available, our code says that you have to connect.
Right.
And
Just like
so,
the secondary.
so I mean, he builds there and he sells 2 or 3 times down the road, and all of a sudden somebody's slapped with a $15,000 connection. That's not fun for whoever buys.
Sure.
Um,
And that is that would be in our code as far as what would happen if the sewer is available and Tri-County Health as well. That's set by the state. That's not necessarily set by us. If improved sewer is available, they have to.
So is there any way that like that can be paid upfront?
By the developer
By
or
the-
some sort of
Yeah, by the developer or the,
escrow or something like
yeah,
that.
for the person that's building, so that 10 years down the road, somebody else doesn't get slapped with it.
I mean, Stonegate is a perfect example of that. They
Right.
started as septic, failed, annexed in. Now all of those people are paying an increased cost
Well,
to have that sewer put in.
They're paying an increased cost. Of course, we had some grant money that helped it, and,
The difference here, though, case in point, they weren't annexed into Roosevelt City when the development took place.
no, they weren't.
So this is a total different scenario.
But this wasn't annexed in either when the development became,
Yes, it is. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But he's not developing this until he annexes, and he's not building until he.
My concern still lies in who's gonna pay for the hookup and.
Typically,
down the line.
typically it is the city that pays for the main trunk line.
The main, yes, but not the,
Yeah, they'll have to pay.
They'll have to pay a connection.
They'll have to pay a connection.
Right. And you're saying if they're touching Roosevelt City and they wanna be annexed in, there's no stopping them.
If they meet our criteria, meet the check boxes, we legally can't.
What
And I-
are the check?
So there's public notice that goes out to like affected entities, the county, the fire, that kind of thing. No, if nobody files, if 100% of the landowners agree, which in this case they do, because it's one landowner.
Yeah.
100% of the landowners agree, and there's no,
Negative impact.
Argument to the petition is submitted, which there's still time for somebody to submit an argument. The argument has to be like beneficiary. It can't just be, I don't want to, or anything like that. So somebody has to actually, and then the county reviews that and decides whether they think that that argument against is justified. And if they do, then we have to look into our decision differently, but.
And one of the sign-offs from Tri-County Health is, and the county is, they have to have improved water as well. Not improved sewer, but improved water.
We'll have to use our annexation boundaries.
Yes, it has to be
So
within.
we've
our-
already decided we want people within that area.
So the-
And this is within that.
Yes.
So the city council in our master plan years ago has established the annexation boundary, and that has to be from the state, it can't be outside of that boundary. And this is definitely within that boundary, and that may be something we have to review again and update that boundary as we grow. But this is definitely within that.
Where's the nearest sewer line from them right now?
It's in Poline Road right here.
What's the distance between those 2 points, just guesstimation?
Probably half a mile.
What would the cost,
No,
how far?
3/4 to a mile.
What would the cost
I
to,
don't
and then it depends whether you're gonna put it in the road or.
The issue being is they did a survey, didn't make grade for one reason or another, and we are working on that right now.
Right, trying to see if we can have a grade that will get to the sewer.
So the other option was, and they talked about this years ago, about coming cross country this direction and back up. They could make grade this way, but they didn't feel like they could make it this way. So,
I mean, it's a type of business decision as well, like, what's the cost to get sewer to there to the benefit of how many lots?
Well, I think that's why the city wouldn't run sewer out there until it was
Right.
actually developed,
Right.
right, where
All of
lots
those-
justified.
But first, the city needs to be doing what Drew is saying, and they need to be determining whether there's a way to get it there. And hopefully, that's gonna be in process.
well, you're looking at, you're looking at the lots here, but you're looking at the future expansion as well. If sewer were to come out this way, they'll build where the sewer and infrastructure is. So you could potentially have a lot of lots in this area.
so then would Roosevelt also require that whole dirt road right there to connect also?
Dirt road, this one,
No, the other direction,
this dirt road.
yeah. They're gonna require all those homes to connect, cause they're within however
300
300 feet.
If they annex in. They're not annexed in, though, they're campus.
But I thought the state required if you're within 300 feet of the sewer
New
line.
construction, new construction.
Just new construction.
Yes.
Okay.
Not existing.
But I think we need to be looking to expand our city whenever we can.
I'm all about the expansion, I'm fine with the annexation. My concern is he's gonna spend $20,000 on a septic tank right now, the septic system. And then 10 years down the road, he's gonna spend another 20, 25, who knows what it is then, 30, to run his sewer out and connect it.
It's not gonna be that much.
You're getting some extravagant numbers for
Yeah.
septic and sewer tanks.
Oh my gosh.
But,
I think it's gonna be, and where's he building this house? I mean, is he building this house?
but is that our decision to make for him?
No, it's not. That's why I say I'm all about the expansion, but
I'm with the expansion as well, but I think there's some responsibility to make sure that the people that buy those lots don't get hit with some hidden cost in the near future. Like, hey, come out to our city and come live here. Oh, and by the way, once we get critical mass, we're gonna make you pay for the sewer line to get out here, surprise.
I guess we just need to get back to the basics as far as what is the annexation? Why do we want to encourage annexation to Roosevelt City? Because if not, they're gonna build the county. And the county will generate the tax off of those houses rather than the city. So why is it that we want to annex? I think that's what we need to ask ourselves. Do we want to?
For me, they're close enough and they use our facilities, and we have those people using, the city residents we're all helping, that are city residents helping pay golf course and swimming pool and parks and other, city things that are, and we've got a lot of people who are close to the city but aren't in the city that are using those things and aren't paying anything.
So
Let me, we've already approved this,
I know.
so we just need to give it a zone.
RR1, I don't know how to do it. I propose we accept RR1 and the zoning for whatever zone.
Make it an emotion.
Oh,
Before we do that, what is the master plan for that area? We have a master plan, right?
Right.
And is it low density or is it high density?
It would be, I believe it was gonna be.
It's probably low density
Well,
agriculture,
because-
right?
yeah, yes. Without diving too much into that, that was kind of on the further, the master plan went clear up on Hollow Drive, in fact, clear up here.
Maybe you could have that for us next
That would
time.
be great, you bet. So a lot of this was actually incorporated clear up on top to get sewer up here, so, and incorporate that in the master plan. So, yeah, we can definitely have that for you next time.
But we need to give it a zone today.
Yeah, well, we'd like to, unless you want to table
no, I think
Do you make a motion?
I make a motion to
One.
do RR1.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. I'll second it. Any further discussion?
it. We need a vote.
Yeah, I know. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Hi.
You're voting in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Okay,
I'll vote in favor as well.
okay. We have 4 in favor. All right, motion passes. The animal amendment
Sorry.
overlay.
Zoomed out a little bit on you, Lynn. Let me zoom back in. There we go. Okay. So, give you
You
a little,
said that to us.
yeah, did you guys have a chance to read over this?
Yeah, chickens, goats.
Yeah, it's been a, it's come around here.
So,
Where did we get this from?
Okay, some history. We've got two,
Stonegate.
no, nothing to do with stuff. So we've had two.
Don't they
instances-
have their own different zoning then?
Not
No,
really.
no,
Oh, I
they've
thought
got
they
the
had
standard Roosevelt
special
city zone.
divisions. Okay.
So we've had two instances, just giving you history here. Last council meeting, we had a resident come during the public comment period and complained that we had enforced our no chicken ordinance in an RM R18 zone, which is high density housing, no animals other than household. The reason we went and enforced the ordinance, know the ordinance, was we had multiple complaints from neighbors. Roosters, 45,
30, 45 chickens.
30, 45 chickens.
It was just a verbal.
And it was just a verbal notification, just for the record, it was no citation or anything. Caused a bit of a fiasco storm on Facebook and with some council. And so it made it to city council. The discussion that came out of city council, we had short staff there, so nothing was decided on, but we were given the direction to keep it the way it was for now, with a discussion of public comments or public poll to see what people want in their areas, if they want chickens in the high density areas, whether they don't want to. So just to get you up, this is two separate things. This one here has nothing to do with what I'm telling you now. So just put this on the back burner for a minute.
Right there.
This is the first, the chicken one is the first issue. So our city attorney advised us to go the route we are going to go with the poll, and the mayor felt confident that would be the direction. But for now, we're going to keep the ordinance in place and enforce. Where we were told maybe to back off, now we're just going to do what we were originally planning on doing. So there's that issue that I'm sure is going to come back in some sort of a, maybe an amendment to the no chickens. So be thinking about that. What you guys want to see in high density, if you want to allow chickens or what do you not. So that's an update there.
High density, what are we talking about?
Apartments, just high density, it's an RM 18, RM 13 zones. So 13 dwellings, 18 dwellings per acre. So it's your apartments, complexes, and some of the higher. So,
Where does one put a chicken in an apartment?
well, it's interesting. Some of these areas that are tied into the zones have property. They have acre lots.
They haven't been developed yet.
They haven't been developed out yet, but they're right next door to an apartment complex. So it's a little dicey. We proposed a couple things, but until we get our feedback and Grant kind of drafts something, if they decide to go that route, it'll come back to.
So just so I'm clear, high density, no chickens,
Yes.
no.
No
only
animals.
Only house. Which would, dog, cat,
Yes, it's in our ordinance, parakeet.
okay, parakeets,
But not,
but chickens, no.
but not a rooster. So that was contested. The rooster was a household pet. It is definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the second animal issue. If you remember back 4 months ago, maybe, Chris Buxton came through for a zone request of an RR1 up where he lives, where Dr. Buxton, Terry used to live there. You guys passed, approved by resolution to approve the RR1. It failed in city council due to the fact that they felt a spot zone, and they wanted to go back and look at doing an overlayment if they have the property. So what we've done is we spent a lot of time on this with our attorney and staff to come up with a reasonable overlayment if they have a minimum of 1 acre and a minimum of an R16 zone. So the RNs are exempt. So this would be anything with an R16, R120, and of course, RR1 is already there. So this is a red line copy I gave to you. We did reduce the numbers a little bit in this than what is in the RR1. You'll see that on the red line. Probably should have had the original one. But if you want, you can. If you guys have time and want to go through the existing right now, or you can look it up as well on.
I've got time.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull that up. So
I need to go soon, but
we'll hurry and,
Am I missing any in my packet?
oh, you were
Late,
There.
way to rub it in.
17, what's the,
17 dot
All of that, we were
17, okay.
to
17.
17.17.030. Okay, so going through this, Grant basically states that when the total continues defines what the acre will be, what the non-acre will still be the same. And going down through the big changes would be basically the 17.17.031. This is going to define the district of an R1 with a total of 42,560 and the permitted uses. So everything's pretty well the same other than in section I, animals and fowl for recreation. So this is not going to be, keep going. Oh, let's see, go back. In the RR1, sorry, sunshine, go back to the 17, go to R. There you go.
Yeah, I'll say.
One more, that's R1, go R1.
Oh,
If they-
17, I was 17, I apologize.
So what we did is we basically took the R1 animal section of, keep going down, scroll down. Right there. So this group we extracted from the RR1, kept the square footage the same, but we reduced the numbers of goats to 3, rabbits to 12, and poultry to the 25. Now, if you have 20,000 square feet, you can have any one of this first group. So you can have one horse. Then if you have an additional 10,000 square feet, you can have one more of that group. Not to exceed two groups.
Yep.
So they can have a maximum of 2 horses or 2 cows if they have 3,000 square feet.
Does that mean they can have pigs or goats as well, or
Yes.
are you
Just one. They can
of the
only,
one category?
so they can have 1 horse and say 2 pigs if they have 30,000 square feet.
Not one horse, 2 pigs, and
No.
5 chickens.
Well, now, the chickens would be a totally separate deal because they are an R16, and the 7 or 6 chickens would still be permitted under that clause.
Yeah, so you could have 1 horse, 2 pigs, and chickens.
Yes, 6 chickens.
Yeah.
Now,
Now if we go 8 chickens.
Stop negotiating.
that's where we draw the line. So, this is, I think this is a good thing. This will, well, I say that tongue in cheek. They spent a lot of time years ago, trying to get rid of the animals in Roosevelt City if they didn't have, because we had the grandfather areas, so they were grandfathered in. But I like what they've done here. If they have an acre of ground and want some animals, we've had a lot of feedback that they want animals in these areas. So this is a way that we can satisfy that and still protect the areas, for what they're intended to be. If they don't border an RR1, this would still allow them to have a horse if they have an acre of ground. So
Why shrink the numbers? And what was wrong with the original numbers?
the numbers are shrunk because this is not going to be a true RR1, which is agriculture. This is going to be areas that's going to be incorporated in the city. So we don't want to have a bunch of numbers that is going to create a nuisance smell-wise thing. So we reduce the numbers that way. Our RR1 is acre lots. These are not going to be bordering acre lots. These are going to be bordering 6,000 square foot lots or less. So we just don't have the land mass around these areas. So it's an overlayment zone, more or less.
So what, you say this is not a true RR1?
No,
What is it?
the RR1, that's the RR1. This is
Just
going to
an
be an
R1.
overlayment zone within an R16 or larger.
Okay,
So it'll fall under the R16 or the R120.
okay, so this.
Are we voting on this tonight?
Not necessarily. If you want to change, I want you to digest this. So if you want to take this home and review, if you feel, I think we should spend a little time reviewing it.
Back again when we have a resident.
There you go. I like it. And then do a little reading on our one and see what you think compare. And I think it's great.
Take your lot.
Okay.
What's, is this similar to what Vermont?
They have the cap, chip and silver. That's all I understand.
That'll be my homework all the.
Okay, so I wanna make sure I'm clear. So if I had a 20,000 square foot lot, which is basically a half acre, right?
A little less, a little less.
A little less. I could have a cow on my property?
If you have an acre of ground, you have to have 1 acre before this animal group will kick in.
Before the animal group of one kicks in.
Right. Yeah,
But the 20,000, I could have pigs.
so.
20,000?
No, you have to have 1 acre of ground before this kicks in. So the 20,000 square foot, you have to have at least 20,000 square foot of free space, non-house.
Okay, so that's
That's
my acre lot, there's 20,000 designated for the horse or the cow.
There you go.
Can't have grass or, I mean, you could have grass, but it has to be designated space. I can't have a shed or a basketball court.
You can have a shed if it's like a barn or a coop or agriculture related.
Okay.
But
But the shed can't be 10,000 square feet.
Exactly.
And I have 10,000 for the cow. Okay, fully understand. All right, I'm good with this. I just
How big
wanted-
is a R16?
6,000.
6,000 square feet.
We're gonna have a discussion on it next time.
We can table this. In fact, we weren't looking for a resolution,
I don't
but
think we're.
I think if you want to make just a resolution to, rather than, or a motion to table this, I think that would probably be good.
So moved.
We made a motion.
I moved to
Okay,
table.
we had a motion to table it. Good. We have a second. All in favor?
I mean, ideally, we could have.
Okay, what else do we have?
We have the planning and zoning commission manager report.
Okay, well, I'll hurry.
Okay,
Well,
So-
they can have up to 6 female chickens. We don't want roosters in those farms.
Roosters, when they become obnoxious or a nuisance, then they go no matter where you're at.
And I would recommend that.
I don't think there's anywhere in Utah that the city that allows roosters nuisance or not, as
It-
far as the zoning ordinance.
We need to define it. We do have hens in there. We do not exclusively say no roosters, but our code is written, it's either permitted or not permitted, but it's been contested. Roosters have been contested. That is not written in our code. Our attorney feels like we're 100% covered, but at some point we may want to look at adding some verbiage in there. So, real quick, guys, if you, they don't have this. do they?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so this one is reviewing land use applications. So there's been some legislation in the 2023 session that's just been adopted. The changes are going to be implemented here the 1st of July. We don't have to have this done by the 1st of July, but there are some changes to what we, and this body is going to see. As far as preliminary plats, final plats, and subdivision reviews. We're gonna go through this meeting by meeting and take a little 10-minute section and dive into this a little bit more in the next month. But I would encourage you to take all of them home and read them, but this one I feel is probably more prudent to what this body is gonna be seeing. The state has mandated that we can take the preliminary plat for review through the Planning and Zoning Commission, but not through City Council, and the final plat cannot go to Planning, Zoning, and City Council.
Has to go one or the other.
No. They want the administrative actions to be handled by the staff instead of getting, for one reason or another, I'm not exactly sure.
I think they're trying to speed up the development process for
Either
developers.
speed up or less complicated. I'm not sure. But they have mandated that the preliminary, and I think we do what we can as far as legally. Preliminary, I'd still like to see that come through the planning and zoning, but they don't want that to go to planning or to city council, and final plat can't go either one. Because the outline is set of what's approved and what's not approved by the legislative body, so they want that to be handled by the administrative staff, is how the state is looking at that. So it's all in this though, there's a lot of other things too, so just take the time and read through it. We won't go through it tonight. But next meeting, we'll have a presentation, maybe a little video of some sort that we can
And
start.
once again, just since we didn't have everyone here, I did put QR codes on the front of the packet, so if you wanna watch the lecture that accompanies it with that, reviewing applications, just scan it on your phone and
Okay.
direct to YouTube.
Okay,
So that's
Well
all.
done, well done.
okay,
Well done.
so, the other item on our agenda is future discussion, is there any items of future discussion? Yeah.
I think basically the new adoption of policy by the state was probably be the future discussion that we can implement in discussion. And animals. That's a hot topic.
If there's nothing else, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to close.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
What's your best guess on why people are getting